Hey everybody, it's Glompy, and today, operational constraints are so annoying. I'm trying so hard, just wanted to look nice, just be like, hey look, the whole frame is filled by my mat, but it's not because my tripod's just slightly too tall, and no matter which way I angle it, you can just see some part of where I'm working, and it's annoying. What we're here to talk about is a new deck that I've recently fallen in love with, and I've got a couple others that I am going to do deck profiles on, but I'm just really jazzed about this one. And Nexus Core just uploaded Dimensional Robo's deck, so I was like, hey, I can fucking jump on the Dimension Police train too. Which, oh, spoilers, that's what this deck is, but that was probably in the fucking title, the thumbnail, the first name in the description is probably like Justice, or some nonsense. Did someone just text me? No, it didn't. But my phone is annoying. Actually, I'll mute that now, so you don't have to hear that. Also, I might be a little too, come on, yeah, too close to the camera. Just, you know, working with what I can. Maybe you like the binaural ASMR effect. Squirtle. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. But I'm going to try and skip past all of my normal semantics today because I'm going to try and get a lot of videos done so you guys can have tons and tons of content. And hopefully you can keep supporting me. So, blah, 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 you know, YouTuber bullshit here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and just tell me what you want to see more of. I'm definitely going to start pushing to get more fights on this channel, which we've never had before, but I'm like slowly forcing all of my friends into it to like, hey, let's record us fighting, and they're good, so just expect me to lose a lot. Okay, we're done. We're not gonna talk about these semantics anymore. We're just gonna start. Okay, ready, set, ikimasu! So, as you know, this is a Cosmic Heroes deck profile, and what would a Cosmic Heroes deck be without? Oh wow, you really can't see that, can you? Cosmic Hero Grand Hop! He's the primary starter for Cosmic Heroes. I'm literally just talking about it. God, how did I lose the name so fast? But he's also the premier starter for a very good reason. If your Vanguard's 25,000, if your Vanguard's power is 25,000 or greater, give it +4. You're probably going to be at minimum 30 already when you use this thing, so you're going to get that +4. And if your Vanguard's power is 35,000 or greater, which, you know, that's also really easy to achieve, you get to put a card into the... you can put this into the soul, countercharge, and draw a card. And that's really good. I always find myself hurting for counterblasts, which, you know, is neither here nor there. Some people are like, oh, you unflip enough as this. And you do unflip a lot, but you also do just, you know, counterblast a lot. This deck kind of eats through it. And Grand Volver's on-hit pressure is great, but that never guarantees that Grand Volver is going to hit. And you're going to see a lot of these choices throughout the deck. But what matters is Grand Hop. Really good starter. Run it. Next, we're going to move on to the trigger lineup. So I'm running 6 crit, which is... I'm doing 2 Justice Gold. This could really just be any kind of crit you want. I don't think Cosmic Heroes have another crit, or if they do, I just never see most people run it. Everyone just told me, yeah, just run Justice Gold. And I was like, okay, it really doesn't matter because it's a crit. And crits are always good. And then 4 of the crit you definitely should be running. Cosmic Hero Grand Beat. He's the shove in a soul when Vanguard attacks +5 and draw. And he's great. You actually don't really need him because this deck draws a lot as is, but he's a great target for resting skills. But yeah, no, I run 6 crit. You can run 4 crit. It's really up to player preference. Next, we're moving on to stands. So I'm running 2 Operator Girl Linka. And Linka's really good. Her skill is... Burst, put her into the soul. If you have 20k or more power, draw a card. And if your Vanguard's power is 35,000 or greater, your Vanguard gets Soul Blast 1. If your drive check reveals a grade 3 or greater card, you know, retire a Sentinel. Which is good. It's not bad. Definitely forces your opponent to guard more than they would. But since it's kind of unreliable, even though you'll definitely be running a decent amount of grade 3s, as we'll get to later, she's not something you really have to rely on, and I prefer the other stand trigger, but she's fine. Definitely, again, it's up to preference and how many grade 3s you like to run. I actually don't run a ton. I run a decent amount, you know. Next, 4 Operator Girl Reika. This is disgusting. This is like the fucking Belial Owl of the deck, because, well, it's not as versatile as Belial Owl, but it's like, her skill is call her, return her to deck, not into soul, return her to deck. Your Vanguard gets +4, and on attack, if your power is 37,000 or greater, draw a card. And it's really easy to hit that number, and if you use multiple of her, it stacks. So 4 of her just felt like the necessary thing. I was running 3 of her and 3 of Linka, but I really didn't use Linka that often. It just didn't seem too worth it. So I just kind of switched it over, and it's been working ever since because the deck draws a lot. So much that you don't really need that immediate. And she's part of the reason it draws so much. Next up are heals. 4 saving... bump the camera. But 4 saving Dolphin. You know, Fighter's Collection, heal. Soul Blast 1 if you only have 1 face up when you call Atlantis Dolphin G-Guard. Countercharge. Good. It's pretty good. It's definitely what you should be running. Next up, I am running the Stride Fodder 3 Cosmic Hero Grand Rope. And what do you really say about this? Again, I only run 3 because you do run a decent amount of grade 3s. I actually don't run too many, so that's why he's in the deck at all. But he's good. He's fine. I definitely would rather have him than something else. Moving on to Perfect Guards, I am running 4, the standard. But here's the thing. I'm running 3 Grand Guard and 1 Enigman Calm. And again, this is up to player preference. Grand Guard is the unflipper PG, you know, really good countercharge. And like I said, I'm always hurting for countercharge, so the more of these I can add, the better. And 3 is just consistent enough. And then I'm running 1 Enigman Calm because his skill, he's really good. He's one of the best PGs in the game, if you ask me, because Counterblast, Soul Blast, if you're Vanguard with 40,000 power attacks, you can return this unit to hand. And if your Vanguard was attacking with 45,000, you can countercharge 1. So he's effectively just a Soul Blast. And the deck does build Soul really well. Really good and really well. So he's pretty easy to use, but I always find myself forgetting to use him. Because, again, the deck is really defensive as is, as well as offensive. This deck is scary, guys. I don't know why Cosmic Heroes aren't that great, because they got what they need. Next up, for Enigman Helm. Wait, no, not Enigman Helm. He comes later. Enigman Blanc, as it were. Enigman Frenchman, who's really good. He's my favorite, initial ride, because his first skill is, at the beginning of your attack, to put in the Soul Countercharge, which is great. That's another way to countercharge. That's fantastic, and nets you that battle phase flip ability, you know. But the really good skill is its burst ability, which is an act. When it's in the Soul, you Soul Blast this. If your Vanguard's power is 10,000 or greater, it gets plus 4k, and if it's 35 or greater, it gets another 4k. And that's really good, because it's a plus 8, so if you have 3 of it at the Soul, that's plus 24 for almost free. And that's fantastic. That's so good. I love it. Last for the grade 1s is 3 Grand Lady. And she's expensive. She's like $7 a pop. And I only run 3 because I only find myself ever needing 3. And this actually isn't me being cheap. This is me I've never been in a situation where I didn't have a Grand Lady. And no one really goes after her, despite the fact that she's a very good combo piece, because she's just rest, give plus 4k to one unit and 4k to another unit. And it's really, really good. I like her a lot, and I'm really glad that I did pick her up, but she's not something where it's you have to run 4 of her, because you'll get 1 in hand, eventually. Moving on to grade 2s. 3 Enigman Helm, aka part of the reason this deck is busted. Enigman Helm's skill is, when it's placed, gives itself 4,000 power. If your Vanguard's power is 30k or greater, put one of your rear guards with a burst ability into the Soul, and you can break basically any guard that's not a G-Guard. And it's fantastic. It's so good because you never even have to use his skill half the time, because people will just know that, and then they'll just no-guard the Vanguard, which is great, because then X-Gallop can quad drive, X-Tiger can have a 70k fucking column. Oh, he's so good. And he pairs with Linka really, really well. So he's 3 of. The only problem I have with him is he's on place, but that's also a great thing, because that means people will waste attacks getting him off the board because they don't realize he's on place. But I would have loved it if he was for every turn, I'd gladly play a little more cost. But I understand they had to balance that, because that is fucking busted. Next up, 3 Grand Drifter. And Grand Drifter is really good. He's a little costly, a Counterblast and a Soul Blast. But he's 4k to himself, 4k to your Vanguard, and if your Vanguard's power is 40,000 or greater, when it attacks, you can draw. See what I'm saying? Reika, this, Linka, a bunch of other cards, just net you those mad draws, yo. And if you can combo them off all at once, you'll be drawing 3 cards. And we're not even at the big drawers yet. This is great. Definitely run him. Then we get to one of the most expensive, but also one of the most important parts of the deck, is 4 Grand Volver. And can't talk today. Grand Volver is really, really good, because he's just Counterblast 1, power to itself, power to another rear guard. So I wish he gave that power to Vanguard, but it's not the biggest deal, because what you're really running him for is if your Vanguard's 30k or greater, he gets Countercharge 2 on hit, which is great pressure, and if it hits, you get to countercharge too. That's basically like half your damage zone, and that's fantastic. And he's also got resist, so, you know, up against like Dominate or Link Joker, Kagero, it's just so good. Definitely worth running 4 of. He's just that good. And finally, on to grade 3s. I'm actually not running as many grade 3s as I would like, because I'm only running 7. First is Cosmic Hero Grand Smasher. And Grand Smasher is really good because he gives 4k to himself on attack, GB1, and if your Vanguard's 15k or greater, it gets 4,000 on your turn. And if your Vanguard's power is 35,000 or greater, he can't be intercepted. So that means he's an 18k column by himself, which is fantastic. That's really good. Your opponent can't use intercepts on it, which you wouldn't really anyway because he's... But, you know, it's nice to have that little extra bit of guard restrict, and you can run more of him if you want. I considered it, and I know a lot of people who do, but I, as a personal preference, I don't really find myself using him that often because, well, he's only on 1 of. And I'd much rather just have other rear guards out. Because it's like, sure, he makes columns, but he doesn't make amazing columns. Next, Great Cosmic Hero Grand Gallop. And he's good for what he needs to do. His GB2 skill is great for when you can't stride. If his power is 22 or greater, it gets triple drive, which is fantastic. But the problem is, if you're on him, the odds of you not being able to stride are kind of slim. But it's also not a problem. His stride skill is actually really interesting, and another part of like why this deck draws so well is because if you're on him, when your G unit stride, give it 4k and like 4k for free, just for striding. And then counterblast 1 on attack. If your Vanguard's attack hits, draw a card, which is even more draw power. But I find myself not using it very much unless I'm on a specific card in the G-Zone, which we'll get to later. So I'm only running 3 of him just because I much rather be on New Gallop. That being said, I am running 3 New Gallop. And what I'm doing here is wrong. You definitely should be running 4 of New Gallop because he is incredible. He is fantastic. He is amazing. He is luscious. He is all of these buzzwords. Just spinning on my camera. Wow. Because he's so good. There's a reason he's $9. His first skill is Burst GB3. When your Vanguard's power is 30,000 or greater, and this guy's on the rear, he gets 4k. And if your Vanguard's power is 60k or greater, which is definitely a kind of hard number to hit, most of these units usually cap out around 50 unless you're having like a flawless turn, it gets a critical. So that's a critical on the rear guard circle before drive checks, because that activates on attack. And that's just, ooh, my glissy is wet. And now we get to the 2 skills that really make this guy top, because that's like, okay, GP3, good rear guard skill, fine, whatever. But then we get to the second skill. At the beginning of your ride phase, if you have 2 or less cards in hand, you can stride without paying the cost. Do you realize how good that is? If you have 2 cards in hand, neither of them are grade 3, you can just stride. If you have 2 cards in hand and both of them are grade 3, you can just stride and then call those grade 3s as columns. You got your Grand Smasher and this fellow in hand, you can just throw it down right next to your X-Tiger, because that would be when this guy's most useful. And then finally, the stride skill is when your G-Unit stride, it gets 4k, and this is where it's weirdly worded, because it puts the counterblast up here. And it's like, when your G-Unit stride, it gets 4k, and if it has the burst ability, you may pay the cost. If you do, it gets 4,000 power. So that's 8k to any burst unit for a counterblast, which is fantastic, especially being on like Laurel D, because Laurel D, only has 4k base power. But you can pretty much, with this, get that first skill off no problem. But like I said, run 4 of him. I got duped into only running 3, and I regret it every time I'm on Old Gallop. But it usually doesn't hinder it too much, so if you're on the budget, you can run less of him. But if you're on a budget, you can still build Cosmic. This deck literally cost me $100 for the whole thing. I mean, $130, but that's still so close. And finally, we're on to the G-Zone. So first is the Premier First Stride if you're on New Gallop. Super Cosmic Hero X Lead. He's got 2 skills. His Axe skill is flip a card face up, rest as many of your rear guards as you like, choose one of them, and your Vanguard and this unit your Vanguard and the unit you chose both get 4k for every rested rear guard, which makes columns really, really nasty, and is great for targeting things. Like, you can have like a full field of Grand Beats and Reikas and Linkas, and just rest all of those, and then completely clear your field. It's wonderful. And it's only once per turn, so you can't spam it, but really, if you rest 4 units, that's like 4, 8, 12, 16k to your Vanguard before anything else. Well, it doesn't have to be before anything else. It can be on top of everything else, you know? It's really good. And then his attack, his burst is on hit if it's 40k or greater. Choose one of your... Wait, no. If the attack hits 30k or greater, draw a card. And if it's 40k or greater... You know, I didn't know that was there. 35k or greater, it draws a card if the attack hits. Which is even more of an example of how this deck draws. And if it's 40k or greater, you can stand one of your rear cards. And it's going to be 40k or greater because... You know? You know? And the on-hit is not really what matters. What matters is that X-Lead has unflips and G-bursts. I mean, G-bursts? G-flips and burst. That's really what makes him the premier first stride for new Gallop. Or premier first stride at all. He's great. Next is the first stride for if you're on old Gallop. And you can still go into X-Lead on old Gallop, but X-Phoenix is great. Because remember how Grand Gallop has a skill that's like if the attack hits, draw? Phoenix is Counterblast 1 if this unit's power is 35,000 or greater, and the attack doesn't hit, draw a card. So that means no matter what the hell your opponent does, you're drawing that card on top of any other draws, and your triple drive. So good. Not great. He might get taken out of the deck, but we're going to see what happens, because odds are in the Stargate booster, we might be getting a new grade 3. Because they say like, oh, you can build a Gallop deck, and I'm like, what are they going to pull out? Because, like, Bravest Rush is so good. Next up is, you already know what the fuck is going on. And that is Super Cosmic Hero X Gallop. This is the OG quad driver. He's delicious. He's so wonderful. I love my Horseman so much. His ability is Burst, GB2, Counterblast 1, and Unflip on attack if his power is 35k or greater, which it will be. He gets Quad Drive, and if it's 40k or greater, which it probably will be, all of your front row rear guards, which is kind of disappointing. I wish it gave it to everything, but all your front row rear guards get plus 4k for every face-up Gallop in the G-Zone. And that's fantastic. Actually, just X Gallop, not just Gallop. But the great thing about this is that means you can have 12k columns for, like, borderline free if you go into Gallop the second time. So he's definitely a 4 of. So good, y'all. So good. Oh, I love him. Next up, I am running 1 Commander Lord of the Day. God, Carl, you're annoying, but you're fun. So yeah, 1 copy of Great Galactic Governor Commander Laurel D, because he's really good, but he really needs rear guards to function. And this deck, oftentimes you will have rear guards if you're up against something like Control, or something that's just really good at eating your hand away. You can be kind of stuck without rear guards, and so you can't go into him that often, but he's still really, really good. And this is up to personal preference. I just find myself going into him not very often because I can't really commit to that whole field rest. And sure, I'm running 6 stands, and his attack is just so good, because if the attack hits, if it's his skill is rest 4 your rear guards. If this unit's power is 40,000 or greater, which if you're on New Gallop, it will be. If its attack hits, stand this unit. If the attack doesn't hit and your Vanguard's power is 25k or greater, stand all of your rear guards. Which is really, which is really, really good. That's so good, because that means you're either getting 6 drive checks or even more attacks. The only problem is like it kind of interferes with stands. But odds are, your opponent is going to let this attack hit. Because odds are maybe you'll have an Enigman Helm on the field, you'll have a Linka in the Soul, just something that can break through guards. And even though Cosmic Hero's whole thing isn't guard break, it still guard breaks enough that it's so good. It's so good, guys. Run him. In whatever number you want, just run him. Coming up next is the one, the only, my boy, Cosmic Hero X Tiger. He's literally disgusting, because he's a decent first stride. He's fine. He doesn't have burst because he's before that. But what makes him so disgustingly good is that he's just unflip This unit doesn't even have a power requirement. He gets 4K for every face-up card in the G zone. If you're going into him like super late game, you can get like upwards of 50K onto this guy. The amount of terms I've turned, because like especially combining with everything like Rest a Grand Lady, Soul Blast any Enigma belongs in your soul, Call a Grand Gallop, not Grand Gallop, call a Grand Rifter, call another Grand Rifter, put a bunch of Reikas into the soul, and then he attacks. This guy has swung for 100, like more than 70, but he's swung for over 100, and he's just so good. And if his power is 45k or greater, which he probably will be, he gets a critical. That's so good, y'all. That's so... My boy, I love him. And lastly, I don't have the GB8, which I want the GB8. That's something I definitely should have, and I definitely need, because with the G-Guards, I am constantly running through them. I am at GB8 by, like, first stride, honestly. But I just don't have it yet. I wanted to buy it, but the shop I usually go to is like, hey... Like, I saw them, they had it, and then the next week when I actually had the deck, they didn't have it anymore, and I was like, fuck! But don't worry, I have a man on the inside, aka someone who has it, and is, like, probably going to sell it to me. But the problem is I don't have any money. I mean, I have money, but I don't have cash. He's going to be like, hey, $5. I'm going to be like, y'all take certified check? Do you, please? But no. Instead of the GV8, we have Sabreeze. Do I need to explain this to you? Do I? I really hope I don't. I would also love it if my camera could focus. Hello? Hello? There we go. Just like read that. Just pause it and read that because everybody knows what Sabreeze does at this point. And also, I'm running 5 G-Guards. First is D-Smell, a staple, especially in a clan that's as rearguard heavy as this. And that being said, a lot of the strides can function without rearguards. Like there's X-Tiger, X-Gallop. As long as you're on new Gallop, you can hit a lot of these power requirements pretty easily. That being said, you still want rear guards, and so it would be lovely if your opponent could stop blowing up your Grand Bulber. And that's why you run Dismal. That and because I'm running the G-Flip. Next is Enigman Patriot. He's just, if the attacking unit is 20k or greater, this unit gets shield plus 5. Odds are your opponent is going to be over 20k. So he's just good, but I also keep him there just as flip fodder. Gallant Incarnation G05. This guy is so... fucking good. Oh my god. He's Soul Blast a card with 5,000 power or more, which that's just an interesting cost. I'm really glad he has that, even though it can be a little annoying because I'm like, all these triggers in my soul. But he's really good because that's just so interesting, and he's good because if your opponent's unit, if you do that, it just gets 10k shield just for that Soul Blast. And if a card is put in your damage zone this turn, he gets plus 5k. So he literally encourages you to try and get a defensive trigger. If you're already at 5 damage, then you can't use him to his full potential. But he's still really, really good, and I love going into him. Next is honestly my least favorite and favorite G-Guard at the same time. We've got Super Cosmic Hero X Caribou. And X Caribou is good, but he's not as good as he could be. Because he's... if the attacking unit is 30k or greater, he gets 10k shield, and then I can discard a card and give my Vanguard 4k, which is great. That's actually fantastic if you're up against either Dominate, Aqua Force, or anything where if you get a defensive trigger, their plan's just ruined. But I just find, usually I'm not up against a clan like that, and that discard kind of hurts. But like the 10k is fine. And then lastly, we're running the G-Flip G-Guard, which is Atlantis Dolphin, and you already know the drill. GB1, flip of a G-Guardian. He gets 5k for each of your rear guards, which is fine. And if his shield becomes 30k or greater, you can countercharge and soul charge. Again, more unflips. That's always lovely, and that always helps with the soul. So yeah, that's the deck, guys. I really hope you enjoyed, because this deck has been really fun to play and make. And I'm just so excited to see what they come out with for the new support, because Cosmic Heroes need some love, We're not Dimension Police. We're not... what's it called? D-Robos, but we're still doing our best. We were the original quad driver. And, I love him. I just love him so much. I wanted to build Dimension Police when I first got into this game, but then I saw Asuka, and I was like, oh. Doot, 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 doot. That's like circus music. Can you hear that? Because, Pale Moon. I love Pale Moon. Look at my mat. I love Pale Moon so much, but In the meantime, decks are fun too. So yeah, that's my Cosmic Heroes deck profile, and make sure that you guys, tell me what you want to see next, because I love hearing you guys' opinions, and make sure you like and subscribe, because that really helps out. And I just want to hear what you guys want to see from me more, like more fun videos, more like vloggy things, just talking, chatting, opening stuff. I've got a box opening coming up really soon that I'm really looking forward to, because I think you guys will really like it. And I just want to hear, like, how is your day going? What's going on, my friends? Because I like to think of you all as my friends. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, show it to your friends. Let's start a discussion. Maybe you don't like my build. Maybe it's fucking shit. Remember that Harry deck I made? Yeah, I've updated it since then, because thank fucking god I did. Why did I think Lapine was bad? Lapine's really good. Oh my god. I've been doing so much better. And now we've got that new Harry stride, which I was thinking about doing a video about, just being like, oh my god, the new Harry stride is so good. So would you guys like to just hear my thoughts about it on, like, just things? I really want to know what you guys want me to do. And I just want to talk and just thank you so much for watching and supporting me. So, yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Salutations!